Thank you. And today we have Tim Vincent from Brothers of the Desert over in Palm Springs. And for this learning collaborative, he is going to explain how he and his colleagues built out his organization to really serve Black gay men over in the Coachella Valley. So I'll hand it over to Tim Vincent, and thank you again.
Thank you. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to present on our organization and how we created what we created, and to think about how that relates to building community partners and members. So that's it. And again, my name is Tim Vincent. I'm the president of the board of directors for Brothers of the Desert, but also have done a number of other things and related really to HIV prevention and care over the last 30 years. So I'm familiar with many of the organizations that are represented in this collective, and have such tremendous respect for the work that you all do, and hope that what I'm going to be presenting today will be inspiring as you're thinking about how to strengthen the programs and really reach the people that you want to reach from a health equity lens. I'm going to talk about the story of our building our organization. This is just a picture of the board members who were able to see each other for the first time in a couple of years when we had a wellness summit that I'm going to be talking about. It's one of our main and signature events that we do in November each year, but that is the board of the directors. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we started and why we even thought we needed to organize, and then how we built it. So one of the things I want to say before we even get into this is just the context of where we live. So I think JB was saying that earlier that we're in the Coachella Valley. And so many of you may know where that is. That's in Riverside County. It really consists of 9 cities that are listed here. Palm Springs probably being the most well-known, but there's Cathedral City, Palm Desert, Rancho Mirage, Indio, Desert Hot Springs, Coachella, Indian Wells, and La Quinta. And it's interesting as we were thinking about building this organization that was really going to be focused on the needs and the desires of Black gay men who are living here either full-time or part-time, to really look at the who is here, who has been here, and who is here presently. They're really looking at the percentage of Black population in this area, really recognizing that there's a significant influx of part-time residents who come from different cities and different places, actually even outside of the United States, to be here, and who may also be interested in having some support and focus around being a Black gay man in this area. Really looking at the percentage of the LGBT population, and then thinking, drilling it down, thinking about the percentage of Black LGBT that live in the Coachella Valley. And one of the things that I think is interesting about these 9 cities that I just described is they really have different dynamics and different ways in which people are encountering those cities. And so a city like Rancho Mirage probably has the highest percentage of white population of any of the cities in Riverside County. Places like Cathedral City and Desert Hot Springs have a higher percentage of Latino, Latinx, or Latina populations than they do of any other population in those cities. And then the other ones have a mix of other things. Palm Springs actually is also notable because it has probably the highest population of the LGBT, and probably, I don't even know, maybe everywhere really. It's about 40 or 50% of the people who are living in Palm Springs consider themselves within the LGBTQ identity. So that helped to kind of think about, when we're thinking about partnerships, or we're thinking about how to build an organization that's really focusing on our concerns and our needs, to really look at where we are and where we live. So we call ourselves Brothers of the Desert. And so really one of the things that I think is important is to really think about, if we're calling ourselves Brothers of the Desert, what does that say to the communities that may not know who we are? And so, I would ask you what that means to you. And what it meant to us is that many times in a Black context, people call each other brothers, sisters. So there was a way in which we're hoping that people would really see that this was an organization that was focused on Black people or African American people, and that we're men, which is true. But the other part that was not so clear that we needed to really make sure we did was to add a tagline to really make sure they understood what this was about. And it was about empowering Black gay men and allies. And for us, allies are anyone else who really supports our overall well-being and our overall health and community. And so that's really who we wanted to also make sure that we were engaging in the services and in the development of this nonprofit organization. So while we developed that nonprofit organization, it was really important to figure out why we were doing this and what we were hoping to do and what we would like to see. So we developed our purpose, our mission, and our vision. And so the purpose of our organization is to change the dynamics that produce isolation and disconnection and inequities in the Black gay male community in the Coachella Valley. And our mission, how we do that and how what we use as a guide is that we're nurturing and supporting Black gay men and allies in the Coachella Valley, and I wrote and beyond, because I think that what's happened, especially with the pandemic and the virtual world in which we live in, that we've been able to have a larger reach through these things, through education, through social networking, through mentorship, through volunteerism, advocacy, and philanthropy. And so we really use those as the pillars of what it is that we're doing and how we're doing it. And then our vision really is to create a dynamic, vibrant, socially just community in the Coachella Valley where Black gay men and our allies can thrive. So that's what really set our foundation for this organization. And when we're thinking about, again, community partnerships and community building, it was really important for us to continue to go back to that, to think about who do we need to partner with? Who do we need to make sure we're communicating our mission and our purpose and the things that we're doing so that we can really move forward with this, especially being in the context I just talked about, where we're really maybe at 2% to 5% Black population and even less when we're thinking about the LGBT Black community. So this is how we started. So we got to what I just said with regard to our mission, vision, and purpose. But we realized that as people were moving into this area in the Coachella Valley, and there's been an influx, I would say, in the last 5 to 10 years, that our group was started in the end of 2017, really in response to feelings of isolation among Black gay men in the Coachella Valley. There was a sense that, you know, we're the only ones, or we don't see anybody, or where are we? And that was the case for people who'd been here for a long time, where we're calling desert pioneers, and then people who were coming to the Coachella Valley in the recent years. And so one of the things that happened is, as we started to see the people we recognized, or just people that we thought, okay, there's another person that I believe is a Black gay man, and we're making sure that we were open and affirming to each other, that we got together at the end of 2017 in a progressive New Year's Eve dinner party where there's maybe about, I'd say maybe about 12 of us. When we started to get together and we started to socialize, I think we realized that the group that was there had the capability and the ability to do a lot more with the backgrounds that we had and with our passion to really serve community. That from that dinner, we started to really intentionally organize in a strategic way to think about what we could offer the community and how we can build what we have built, a membership of Black gay men in the Coachella Valley to really support each other and to actualize that mission that I just talked about. So we did that really by beginning to assess like who has been here, and reaching out like the personal contacts to finding out who knows who, and then really thinking about some of the experiences that people have had who had been living here for quite some time, to recognize, was there any other organizing efforts that had happened before? Some of it, again, because we were new, we wanted to make sure that we were respectful of what had been done before. And then in 2019, we partnered with an organization that's out of Los Angeles that does similar stuff, like a social membership organization called Better Brothers of LA. And they helped us to become our a fiscal sponsor so that we can move towards a nonprofit status. In 2019, we hosted our first large scale community event. It's a wellness summit. And we really felt like what we wanted to do from the people that we started to get more and more members. It started, like I said, it started with maybe 10 or 12 of us, but by that time we had maybe 20, 25 people. And we asked those people, all of our members, what would they want us to put out to the community that would be, about us, for us, and by us. And it was really about this wellness summit, about how do we support our holistic health and wellness. And people wanted to hear things about relationships or spirituality or sexual health or ways to communicate better in our lives. So we really made sure that we had speakers that did that. And while we were able to do that, we ended up having maybe about 100 people to our first event in the LGBT Center in Palm Springs who had never seen that that group of people. They had never seen that many African American or Black and Brown people that would be at their space, encountering their this particular event on a Saturday. So that felt so successful that we really felt like we had something there, and that we really were wanting to be established as a nonprofit organization. So that happened in 2020. And so really, again, when we're talking about this, why I'm saying this is it's really setting the tone for how do we build, again, community partnerships and members. So we went from 10 people to now we have about maybe 75 people. And how we did that by really looking at our focus, which is on this intersectionality of a Black identity, a gay identity, and then the allies that are really connected to us. And so when I'm thinking about that, one of the questions, that we asked, and it is there, or which of these groups would be the most important to really focus and establish partnerships with? Would it be the larger Black community? Would it be, the larger LGBT community? And I was saying earlier, there's a really large percentage of people who are identified in that community, or would it be more allies, people that we may not really fall within both of those identity categories, but really may be important for us to let know about our intention and what we're doing. Excuse me. So it really, in essence, all of those are important. And so we really had to think about ways to find out how those definitely partnerships and those different identities and communities are established here in the Coachella Valley, and to let us know how we can either collaborate or support them. So one of the things that we did with regard to building our membership, which is another way I believe of thinking about partnerships and community, is really building this community of Black gay men. And so we wanted to be clear about our own way in which we're considering membership. And membership had to do with the identity of Black or African American of African descent, that people were in either a same gender loving identity, gay, bisexual, some way in which they're describing that, and then that they're male, either cisgender or transgender. So all of our members have that in common. And I think just even having that in common and being in the context that I just talked about, in being a place where it doesn't feel like there's a large percentage of us, it was really important for us to really have that be clearly the focus of this, and really have the power of our organization emanate from Black gay men. And so when we established our nonprofit organization, as many of you know, you have to have a board. So we have a 7-member board. I showed you the picture of us earlier. And then right now we have about 60 to 75 members, people who identify in the ways that I just described. And then we have allies, and there are allies who are pictured in this particular photo when we went on a event for Desert X, which is an art installation event that happens in the area. And by doing that, by really having the focus, was intentional, by having the focus on Black gay men, it really helped to do what I was talking about earlier, which is really to decrease some of that isolation and that disconnection, and to really recognize that we as Black gay men here in this area have a lot to offer, have something unique, and have a way of, we had a way of building our own sense of community, which had not existed to this level, I don't think, before. And so as a result, we are one of a few Black-led organizations in the Coachella Valley, and really probably, I believe, the only Black-led LGBT-focused in the Coachella Valley, which makes this unique, and also makes it unique for people who now know who we are to either want to come to us to create better partnerships and collaborations, or for us to let people know that we have this unique perspective and this unique knowledge and expertise. So that's was important. And then for creating like how we built the community, we really did an outreach to friendship networks. As I was saying, we really investigated some prior efforts. There was a group of men who had organized before for a brief time that did not particularly succeed after a while. We really wanted to know, and that might have had to do with the time and the amount of people that were there, and all of that. And then we wanted to know who were some of the leaders and pioneers in the Black gay community, whether it was male or female or trans, and really found out. And some people may have known this, but in Palm Springs, I think in 2003, the mayor of Palm Springs was the first out African American man who was elected to mayor of an American city. His name is Ron Oden. He was very instrumental in helping us kind of piece together some of that history. He's been very supportive of our organization and our group. We used him as the the person who led the first wellness summit, because we thought it was really important to pay homage to what had happened before and who helped to even get us to the place where we could create an organization like this. And he's been very helpful in that regard. We also wanted to be aware of potential new members who's coming into town. People would sort of let people know that people are coming here for a couple of months, or that people are moving here. So we were really got in on that level, and just being aware of that, and being intentional about inviting people to things. We had regular, and we still have regular member meetings. So the people who are our members meet once a month, and that really helped also solidify that membership, solidify some connection. And then we realized we needed more than that. So we do a lunch after that. So that also, sometimes people don't come to the meeting, but they come to lunch, or the vice versa. But it, again, creates a way of engaging the community that I think is important. And also just to say that all of our events that we do, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them, are open to the entire community. So our member meeting is about the members that I just talked about, with the criteria that I just described. But the events, whether it's a lunch, whether it's a wellness summit, whether it's a speaker series, or whatever we're doing, is open to the entire community. And people have really responded to that. So we have a really, I think, a very inclusive group of people that comes to our events in a ways that I have never seen before here in the Coachella Valley. We also have, built a social media presence, which is important for us to let people know about who we are and what we do and how to be a member. We have a website that we have that I'm going to show you a little bit later. And then we have a monthly newsletter that goes out to maybe about 600, 700 people that we've, created because of the events that they've come to, that let us know what we're doing, who we're doing, who we're about, not who we're doing, who we're about, and also things that are of interest to our members in our community. It might be a article on where to get the best haircut in the Coachella Valley, or what are places that people worship, or where are some of the spiritual centers. So it's about things that are, again, of interest to us. And of interest to people who are allies and friends. So it's been a very successful thing that we've been doing each month. It's called Drumbeat. The other thing that I think that we recognize from what I just described is that in that membership group that I'm talking about, in building the 60 to 75 people that we have such diverse backgrounds with regard to what people have accomplished in their lives, or accomplishing in their lives, with regard to their profession, with regard to their education, with regard to where they came from, that really helps, because most of the people are coming from other places here. So that actually helps us, I think, in building a real broad base of members that have an incredible amount of talent and skill. And they have expansive social networks as a result of that, because they've are coming from places like Los Angeles or Atlanta or wherever it is. And so it's been really helpful to have that help us with either the events or as people come into town. We have a pretty significant percentage of older adults that are here. Palm Springs is kind of known for that in terms of a place that people either end their careers or retire in. And that actually has been helpful because people, again, have had, that experience of where of their careers or whatever they've been doing, and also have, in some ways, some solid social networks that they've developed in their lifespan. And so that's also been a helpful thing for us to build membership and also to build out some partnerships in the community, because people may have had background or experience in religion or background experience in education, and that has really helped us to build some of the programs and to build partnerships. And then the other thing that specifically is there's a number of people who have a lot of business affiliations and have been in this area for a long time. So we've been able to really do some strategic and very purposeful collaborations with some restaurants, bars, retail stores that have also helped us to build out our programs and to really make this a sustainable organization. So some of the events and the programs that we do that, again, reflect the mission that I just talked about earlier, about really around education and mentorship and social networking and philanthropy, is really the Wellness Summit that I talked about that we do every year. That is now it's turning into a weekend program where the Saturday is a day that's a little bit like a mini conference with a number of incredible speakers. And we each year we have more and more attendees. We do a speaker series quarterly where we bring out a concern that people have. It could be about intersectionality, it's been about housing, it's been about mental health, and we bring a person in that we do that virtually. And again, it's open to the entire community or anybody actually, because it's on Zoom. We have something called Brothers Got Talent that also really features mainly our members and sometimes people who are allies or people from other places who are Black gay men who are either telling their stories about their stories of coming out. That was just really meaningful, entertaining, and helpful for the entire audience to also connect and recognize that we're here and we're not alone. And then again, I did speak about the Drumbeat, which is the monthly newsletter that comes out, which I think is really an important piece of what we do and what we focus on. And then we do advocacy work, which is also very important, and that's one of our pillars of our mission. And we've done some work on voter suppression, and we've done something around vaccine equity as it relates to Black and Brown communities, and had some volunteers from our organization really help to set up that clinic in conjunction with a Black Baptist church that exists here in Palm Springs. So we also thought about partnerships. And when we thought about partnerships in beginning to develop this organization, because like I said, we really, in some ways, were the only game in town doing what we were doing, we needed to look at who else is doing something that would be connected or similar in some ways to what we are hoping and what we ended up developing. And so we looked to Better Brothers of LA, which I just mentioned earlier, that does more of a social and membership kind of networking group. We looked at In the Meantime Men's Group, which has been in existence for decades, which does incredible work with regard to really building community and doing some of the things that we are hoping to do, which is really to offer education and empowerment. And then a True Evolution, which is out of Riverside County, which also does a lot of some service work, but just some really great work with, again, Black and Brown LGBTQ and youth. And then Black Queer Men of Vegas is something that has developed after we developed, but we've been in partnership with them in terms of helping to think through with them how they would develop their agency once they heard about us. But that has been also, collaborative in a way, because they're learning from us and we definitely learn from them with what they've done. So that was important to really focus some of the partnerships really on what we're doing and who has been doing what we are hoping to do and what we continue to do. And then we wanted to look at partnerships that really reflect that intersectionality that I was also referring to earlier, which is about gay or LGBTQ, Black, and then allies. And so here are some things that we really wanted to make sure, some places that we really wanted to make sure that we had some opportunity to partner with, to make them understand what we're doing, to also think about ways in which we could collaborate on projects together, to think about how we can, help to either learn from them and then them learn about what we're doing as well, and figure out where our place is in some ways in the community, and to really establish our place in the community. So one of the, how I have this, these are just some examples, but how I have this is in different color configurations. And so when we're thinking about the larger Black community, we really wanted to think about some of the organizations that have been serving Black community for a long time. And one of them is the Palm Springs Black History Committee, which is a very important and significant nonprofit organization. And we have, it was really important for us to really know what they do, to attend some of their events, to offer support in whatever way we can to some of those events. There's a Desert Black Chamber of Commerce that we've also been engaging with, which I think has been a very important thing for them to know that we exist, and for us to know all of the different things that people are doing. On our website, we've created a Black business listing, which I thought was a really important thing to do with regard to really supporting the larger Black community here in the Coachella Valley, and to show that support. The picture that's here, that's on this slide, is we received the Community Service Award from the Black Chamber of Commerce recently, and that's just us there at that event. So it's just important to really make sure that connection happens, and that we make that partnership really vital. We give scholarships, and that was one of the things we always wanted to do with regard to our program. We wanted to make sure that we were giving back, and one of the ways we give back is by investing in a couple of scholarships. And one of them is from an organization called the United Negro Academic Scholarship Fund. So we've been doing that for the last couple of years. So they give a scholarship to a deserving Black student in the Coachella Valley, and that was important. And then into the purple are really agencies and organizations that are really more focused on the LGBT piece. And the other scholarship that we give is to Safe Schools of the Desert Cities, which gives scholarships to LGBTQ students in the Coachella Valley. And that has been important. So for both of those things, we've been doing this for a couple of years. We're also part of an LGBTQ Leadership Council. So there's a number of agencies that are here in the Coachella Valley. They meet quarterly to talk about what we're doing, to really communicate with each other about what it is we're doing, and to support each other and to hear about each other. And one of the things that I think is interesting about this particular piece is when we joined it, when we started, I'm thinking about whatever this was, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, 4 years ago, probably. There was, because of Palm Springs being so LGBT focused and having so many people who live here that reflect that identity, there were so many organizations that were at that meeting that I was like, I can't believe there's this many. And what was interesting about that too is that when we spoke about what we're doing in our focus, there was nothing that was, like ours, and there really wasn't anything that was really focusing on the intersection of ethnicity or race and LGBTQ identity. So it was interesting that even though there was 25 or 30 groups, nothing was like what we were doing. So we really did have a place that we were needed and serving. So that's really great. So then there's the Desert Business Association that we're part of. There's some major service groups that are here in the Coachella Valley. DAP used to be called the Desert AIDS Project, but they call it DAP Health, and the LGBT Center of the Desert. We've had significant collaborations with both of those agencies. And then in Black are really what I'm calling like allies. It was really important for us we have an older population. There's something called the Mizell Senior Center that we have collaborations with. It was very important for us to connect with women and trans populations. And so this next one was Your Women's Circle, Palm Springs Women in Jazz, and the Ella Fund, which is a fund around lesbians in need. It was important for us to let them know what we're doing, to partner with them, and we partnered with all of those in different ways over the years with different events. Then also the religious or spiritual aspect of it. There's something called Stonewall Ministries that was an affirming LGBTQ church. And then Agilon Baptist Church, I mentioned earlier, we did a vaccine clinic. They did a vaccine clinic, and we helped to volunteer to help to staff that. But that was an important thing to do, to really show that, build that bridge and show that we are part of a Black community, that we are very focused in the health and well-being of the entire Black community. And then it was also important for us to make some partnerships with the police force that's here in Palm Springs. And there's again, a leadership council that is related to the LGBT population and the police department, but there was again no one of color that was on that was part of that. And so it was really important for us to have somebody there. So I put asterisks next to some of these things because on each of the things that have an asterisk next to them, we have somebody from our membership who's a very vital member of that, a board member of the Desert Black Chamber of Commerce, people who are sitting on the committee who decides the scholarships for Safe Schools of the Desert Cities. We're on the Leadership Council. There's a very vital member of the Agilon Baptist Church who's the choir director, but also just a leader of that's really helped to make those connections happen. And we have somebody who's sitting on the Police Department LGBTQ Council. So again, when we're thinking about building partnerships, it was really about like looking at that and really making sure that we are available, that we're part of these things, so that we, again, can continue to sustain what we're doing and also support what other people are doing too. So in doing that, the other thing that was very important for us to do when we were establishing these partnerships, and something we learned that was just important to learn, is that when we're thinking about, for here in the Palm Springs area and Coachella Valley, it was important to respect the history that's existed. So in this area, in Black community in Palm Springs area has really experienced a violent and racist past, and I wrote and present. So for us to really understand the significance of that there have been families and generations who've been displaced, first of all, taken from their homes and moved to another area of town that had a lot less investment in commerce, still doesn't have less investment in commerce, in transportation services and retail stores. I mean, there's just been a disinvestment in this particular area where people were displaced and moved, and people have been living there for generations and have a really connected and, important and thoughtful community. But it has been something that really got swept under the rug in many ways with regard to the history of Palm Springs. And so that was just important for us to understand and still understand as we're trying to continue to build better and significant partnerships with Black-led and community organizations that are here. And then really understanding for Black gay men that they had prior organization efforts that I mentioned that really didn't last. And so it was really important for us to understand, like, why didn't they last? What did they do? If we are organizing again, what will that look like? Does that look like we are believing that we have something that they didn't have? I mean, so it was important to recognize and to think about who those people are, and to really have communication and goodwill around the newer organizing efforts that we began about 5 years ago. And then really recognizing that a lot of the people like myself and my partner, who's now my husband, are newer residents. I've been here for about 5 years. A number of people have been here for less than that. Some people are here part-time. So really also knowing that even though we have some incredible people and incredible intent, that we have to really also just recognize some of the what I would say privilege that we've had in our ability to kind of come into this community in the way that we came into the community. And so another thing when we're talking about building community partnerships. So here's some of the things, the questions we needed to ask ourselves, especially as we became more and more well-known in the community. We needed to establish some boundaries. So when we're thinking about the community partnerships, we really had to think about, does it fit with our mission? Is it empowering Black gay men and our allies in these particular ways? Is it really important is the second one. Is it of interest to our membership? I mean, I might want to say that we want to, make sure that we're partnering with a particular place, but if we go to the member meeting and say, is this something we want to do? Is this something that they're interested in? Will they be part of it? Will they give time to it? All of that I think is important in thinking about it, because it has to be about, emanating from our interests and what we feel like we need or would like to do. And then how does the partnership strengthen or expand? So if we're, again, now we're planning a wellness summit, what does this particular partnership help to strengthen our ability to do that? Does it expand it? Does it offer some opportunity for a new program? What does it do? And so I think we really think about that. And many times that happens at the board level, but it also happens from the interest of the membership. And we have a number of committees that members are on. So some of this communication happens in those ways. And then, is it an equitable partnership? Like, so what are we gaining from that, and what are they gaining from that? I think we've had some instances where it felt like we're not going to really gain that much from what they're doing, but they may be gaining that. And it felt like, especially as people were recognizing that, there's a lack of really people of color led organizations here in the Coachella Valley. And I think that people were really interested in, okay, there's a Black organization, let me see if they want to do this with them or that. And sometimes it was feeling a bit like we were helping them to demonstrate their interest in inclusivity rather than what it would mean with regard to what they have to offer and what we have to offer. So there's sometimes when we had to turn things down. But I think it was really important to do that, because we really wanted to make sure that when we're saying that whatever we're doing, an event that we're doing, that it really, again, felt like this made sense for what this organization is about and what we would like to put out to the larger community about what's of interest to us. And so one of the things that's been really of interest to us, and I said since 2019, is we produce an annual wellness summit. It brings together a number of leaders that present on a diverse range of wellness considerations that are of interest to Black gay men in a very interactive format. So it's fun, it's engaging, it's really been quite successful, and each year it gets larger, as I said. Then, so our fourth one's going to be on November 12th this year, and it's called Our Rhythm, Our Power, Living Our Best Black Gay Lives. And so when we started to develop these, and we were calling the first one about living our best Black gay lives, we asked the members, like, what would that mean? And so they told us what that would mean. And when they told us what that would mean, we found people who would be interesting to speak on those particular topic areas and to engage with people. So we have some really incredible speakers. This is just a sample of what it looked like last year. This was our program for last year. And it also, as I said, the programs themselves offer opportunities for partnership. So this just shows you kind of the range of people who were speaking. We had people from the spiritual and religious community. We had leaders from social activists and nonprofit organizations. We had physicians, we had artists, we had a director, we had somebody who's in the financial world, we had a writer. So it was really important to recognize that all of those things contribute to our overall health and well-being as Black gay men, and that, and our allies were the people who were leading us in that charge. And so people have been really impressed with our ability to find and to connect with all of these people and have them be the presenters. But that also took what I was describing before, which is about the networks that we have and the diverse backgrounds that the members have and the board has, to actually continue to build those partnerships and make sure that that we can create this successful event. And so for this year, just to say, because I know that many of you are working in you all are working in programs that are focusing on HIV and aging, and that is also a topic that if people are interested in our group, due to the the age group that we are that our members are represent. And so, this year, again, last year we had this, but we're going to do it again. We're having an aging panel with an HIV activist from an organization called Let's Kick Ass Palm Springs, a physician, a financial planner. So those are the things that we, again, when we're thinking about partnerships, that we needed to really make sure that we have, and we have been able to build that. Again, I referenced the fact that we have a Black business listing. So this year we're going to expand that and have a little bit of a Black business mini expo as part of the Wellness Summit, with strategic partners that are doing businesses that are related to health and wellness, so that are Black owned and Black run. And we're going to have some interactive health posts from some of our other ally organizations like the Desert AIDS Project and the LGBT Center. And then we really have this track around members of the arts community. And we also are really expanding our ability to partner with some of those groups as well. So I talked about the fact that we organized really with about 10 people at the beginning. And that was 4 or 5 years ago. We're now a nonprofit. So I'm going to have you look right now at our website to talk to you a little bit about where we are right now, what we've been doing lately, and how that again relates to the partnerships that I've just talked about. So here are some things that we're doing. So one of the things that we recognize, and if you look to the left, it says September 9th, it's Oscars. We realize that, due to a number of reasons, and the pandemic is one of them, that our members, the 60 to 75 people I just talked about, some of them are struggling, either with finances, with health stuff, and that we wanted to create what we're calling an emergency fund, a 911 fund, to help with paying bills, and other ways in which we could support people that are needing that support. So we're having a fundraiser for that new program, that new thing that we're doing called the Membership Support Fund. And that's one thing that we're doing. The next day, actually, we're doing some advocacy work. Again, this is going to be a collaborative thing with a number of organizations. It's going to be at the Mizell Center, the senior center I was talking about. And it's about exploring the intersection of Black voter suppression and anti-gay legislation. So again, it fits on that intersection of Black and gay. And then on the 17th, which is really important for all of you who are part of this effort in really working with HIV and aging, there's a Positively Aging Project. And there's a day that that we are all supporting on September 17th. And it's going to be, again, a collaboration with some of the agencies that I just talked about, the LGBT Center, the DAP, Let's Kick Ass, and the HIV/AIDS and Research, HIV and Aging Research Study. So that's something that we're also proud to be a part of, and they're putting it on, but we're supporting them. So sometimes it's about us leading it, like the one at Oscars or the one at the Black voter suppression, but sometimes it's about us supporting it as well. So in terms of, I think this just gives an example of how do all of those partnerships come into play when you're developing and supporting the different programs that we continue to support. So that's that. We can move on now to the next slide. And when we think about where we are right now, the other thing that I wanted to make sure that you get to see is we have a video that our members have, thank you, that our members talked a little bit about the meaning of developing this community. So I thought that would be helpful for you to see what it means to the people who are the members of Brothers of the Desert.
Talking about Brothers of the Desert, what does that mean to bring Brothers of the Desert, to see it starting to actually come together as a community?
To me, it's very empowering to see a group of Black men, gay Black men, who bring what they've learned through their journey of life together and to be able to share that and realize that we have a voice in this community and that we have the ability to uplift other individuals.
And I met two of the great ambassadors for Brothers, Tim and Michael. And they actually told me about this at that time it was an informal sort of group, and they were meeting later that day, so they said, come join us. I went there, it's on the patio of Tropical, and I think there were 8 or 9 black gay men, and I thought, something is happening here.
And how come I didn't know about it?
Right.
All right, yeah.
Because I thought, I know every black gay person in the valley, and I don't know
Right,
these guys.
right.
And so that was sort of an awakening for me,
Right.
that something really good is happening. And that is really carried out, just to go, and now we're meeting through Zoom, but still to go on to Zoom and have people asking how you are, and really coming from, I know how you are. So
I got
that
you,
means
yeah.
a lot to me, yeah.
With everything that's going on around us, it's really difficult. And I think having a support network like Brothers of the Desert is really essential in terms of connecting with other black gay men and just experiencing racism, I think, in both in the gay community and in the larger community, and figuring out ways to deal with that both individually and collectively is more important than ever.
I feel like we are also showing an example of a broad range of what we're capable of, and that we are, dynamic and strong as a part of this community and an important part of this community.
Been in Palm Springs for almost 16 years now, and only knowing 2 other black gay men when Brothers of the Desert came along, and I had an opportunity to meet with these intelligent, articulate, and financially stable men to represent not only the black gay community, but the black community is just a wonderful asset to this valley.
There's a natural understanding and a natural way of communicating as us that we do that is fulfilling, because there's an inherent connection and understanding, and that to me is very important.
I walked out of that first meeting from a round table of all these beautiful and different, diverse black men, all gay brothers. And I was like, okay, this is a fraternity I could have joined in college,
As a black gay Leatherman, I am a member of a subgroup within a subgroup within a subgroup. Black, gay, Leatherman. That's deep in the world. You got to go deep to find me. And now finding these black gay professionals, it's another subgroup, and it's amazing. I love it.
For showing that. I guess I wanted to end on some final sort of summary and recommendations around what I just spoke about. So, I'm hoping that in hearing the video that you just heard, that you recognize the impact that what we planned has had on our community. But I wanted to just end this by talking a little bit about what it is. So here's what I think it is really important that I have just talked about, and I just want to kind of pull these out. That context and history is important, really knowing. So this is for all of you, whether it in our case, it was really about recognizing in terms of what maybe the Black community has gone through. But for you all, it really is about like recognizing the context and history of the communities that you're wanting to serve, or that you're hoping to serve, or that you already serve, and really how significant that is to understand that. That the purpose and the mission of the program guides the partnership effort. So whether it is I talked about the purpose and mission of Brothers of the Desert, but also I'm thinking about the purpose and mission of our Wellness Summit, or the purpose and mission of any of the other programs that we're putting out forward, and how that guides the partnership efforts, the people that we really need to partner with, and the ways in which we need to engage with them. establishing trust and recognizing privilege. I think it's just important to think about when you're thinking about making those partnerships happen. And when I'm thinking about the list that I was showing you, I think it's just really important about really establishing trust with regard to when we say we're going to do something, we're actually doing what we're saying we're going to be doing. And I think we've done a really great job of that. But also, I think recognizing privilege, recognizing that, we moved to this particular location. Many of the people had means to do that. Many of the people had careers and things that they either are continuing to do because we've been able to do those remotely, or that we're doing them here in the Coachella Valley. And that offers us some privilege and some ways in which we can operate in the world. I think gender gives us privilege as well. So I think it's important to really recognize that privilege, and also to think about how to create trusting relationships with the people that you'd like to partner with. I think it's really about utilizing the strengths and the diversity of the group of people that are responsible for initiating the programs, whether it's our board, whether it's our members, whether it's the people who are helping to be on committees for the different programs. I think, again, I spoke about this, but I think about establishing boundaries and clear criteria is important, because I think there were times in our efforts where we could have gone down a path, or we, moved 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, just because we needed to really be clear about, do we want to put our energy and effort in this particular collaboration, or this particular ask that somebody might have had with regard to even building partnerships with us. And then the other thing that I think is really critical that we do pretty well is to evaluate the programs that we do. And then in our organization, we send out different surveys at the end of different events, and also do some stuff with the members to make sure that what they're interested in is also going to be reflected. So, if we're doing this, as we're doing this, not if we're, as we're doing the Wellness Summit planning, we really looked at what did people say, what did they want. They're interested in hearing about, relationship dynamics, that then we really need to make sure that we're focusing on that, and who could we get to focus on that, who knows that person, that type of thing. Excuse me. So that's important. And I want to, if you can, I want to go back to the slide before this, because when I'm thinking about the evaluation of programs, here are some things that people said. So these are from members or from an event. And so people said that as Black gay men, we're powerful when we work together. To see Black gay men or Black men gathering in a social and educational setting sends a strong message and positive imaging to the greater community. So I love that quote, because I think it's really about what we're saying. We are part of the community. We are interested in our own well-being and helping ourselves, and also helping the larger community. I think it sends a message about who we are and what we're about. And that the other one, it says, Brothers of the Desert, our organization, is providing a great service for gay Black men and their allies. The spirit and brotherhood shared by all, including allies, was amazing. So I'm appreciative of that comment, because it really is, it takes all of us to make this work, and people in our families, our partners, our friendship networks. It's so important to have everybody supporting and on board, and that we do have this value of brotherhood, and that's why we're called Brothers of the Desert. So I'm hoping that what I've just described is useful and meaningful and inspiring to the work that you're doing in your HIV and aging programs. And I just, again, am grateful for the opportunity to describe this organization, and invite you all to look at our website, www.brothersofthedesert.org, or to come down to the Wellness Summit on November 12th and join us and see what we're about. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Tim. That was a really beautiful presentation. I really appreciate how Brothers of the Desert is really centered on intentionality, and how everything else really follows after that. Being really intentional with who you are, what your organization stands for, and what you're willing to collaborate on, I feel is especially important in curating programs specific to you, for you, by you. So thank you again.
Thank you.